Yeah, a little knowledge from you and the Trot family. Elsie, would you like to begin?
I don't know where that is. Where's
Look at this Shawbury. Because I remember Shawbury.
Strawberry.
Yeah.
You mean when we moved there before your mother was born. Is it recorded?
Mm-hmm. Might be.
And she was born 2 months after we moved there. Mother had Christmas and everything, very big. And Uncle Willie had given us a Victrola, which was the first time all of us had even seen a Victrola. And the man came to the door and said, I have a Christmas present for you. I said, well, you made a mistake because I don't know anyone who would give me a Victrola. And it turned out it was from Uncle Willie. And of course, Uncle Willie was not married then. And we always thought he was Santa Claus anyway. Didn't marry.
Uncle Willie, the Santa Claus.
He didn't marry till he was about 42. And he used to give us all kinds of things, like 10 shillings worth of firecrackers. Is the picture too? That's right. 10 shillings worth of firecrackers filled a whole bureau drawer. What are they called? Roman candles, skyrockets. Anyhow, without Uncle Willie, I'm sure we wouldn't have had any.
So you've gone right back to 1925.
1925, before your mother was born.
Were you all excited about the new house, by having strawberries?
Did you know the first day?
No, I'd like to hear about it myself.
Well, the house we left didn't have a pressure pump. And when we got over there, it had a pressure pump. So we turned, the first morning, we turned all the faucets on. In the tub and the basin and flushed the toilet. And popped it. I said, God, I'll be in the poorhouse. God. All this going.
Let's move back to Crossing Hill, I think.
No store.
No,
Oh, dear. No, you
but
can't.
did you feel you'd come up in the world and you really had it made now and you moved in that beautiful house?
I wasn't too sure.
Oh, that was your mother and father?
Yeah.
What were their names?
Fanny and Laurie.
Fanny and Lloyd Trot.
Yeah.
And you moved from where? North Star?
North Store.
How did you spell that?
It's Watson backwards.
Watson
Oh,
back?
I never knew that. See, we learn a lot
Okay.
from these kind of things.
And where was that?
That was over near Rockville. You know where Dorothy Masters lives? Near there.
It's still there?
And Aunt Fanny and Aunt Helen lived next door to us over there. And they became dear friends to
Yeah.
all of the children. Aunt
And North
Fanny.
Star is still there?
It was still too.
Keep going. I don't know what you know about that.
Aunt Fanny used to say, I said to Aunt Fanny, you know, when we have to read the psalm in the mornings, I can't keep up with it. So she said, well, you find out what the psalm and the hymn's going to be, and bring it home, and you and I will go over it until you know it. And we did that every afternoon, and of course I was top of the class in psalms and hymns.
How many?
You knew that.
No, I've never heard that one.
Yeah.
Good.
And Aunt Fanny always used to say, she came every Tuesday and did all the mending, and in those days we mended things, we didn't throw them away. You know. So she'd sit all day long and darn and sew buttons on, all for nothing.
How old were you then?
I was 7.
Seven. And how many brothers and sisters did you have?
Well, I have 2 brothers, Conway and Uri, and only one sister then, Dorothy. But Frana was coming in February 1925. Yeah. And that was a great event in our lives because Ewing was 7 when you.
Oh, yeah.
That was Uncle Nudie.
Uncle Judy. Yes.
Ewing.
Ewing.
What was his full name?
Florian Ewing Trump.
Florian Ewing Trump. And Cappy was?
Compy was Conway, Reed Conway Manitoba, didn't he?
Yeah.
Oh, he said it was the other way around, but
I know, I never got to see
I
it.
don't know. Now it's the Frana's turn.
Oh.
Kansas has
So what are your early memories of Schaumburg?
Hell a minute.
about like it is here now, right?
No. Oh, dear.
Dear.
Come on, Frana,
Speechless.
your turn.
My goodness.
Don't give all the secrets.
No. Hello, Willie.
How about dipping water? You remember that? I remember that.
What?
Dipping water out of the
Oh, yeah.
tank.
Yes. He even took it to hospital with him.
Did he?
We had to dip it in a bucket and take it down in a pitcher so that he could drink. He wouldn't drink water out of the bucket
He wouldn't.
No,
He never did.
because it came through all that metal. Carry on, Frana. You're not paying attention.
Earliest memory. Well, wheeling the outboard motor over to its parent outings, which were never any pleasure. It was always awful.
Do you remember the barrel? The barrel was one of the coffins.
No, I didn't really remember that.
Oh, yes, he had a barrel of water. I must.
No,
take
go
all
ahead.
of it.
Well, you see, it's good that you can fill in, but I don't remember.
Barrel of water he had in the basement in the cellar. He
how
had
did
the
he
outboard
find-
motor attached to it. And before we went off to go on the boat, he'd try and start it, but well, sometimes started
Look at
and
that.
wouldn't. So that's when it was elementary.
Yes. But why he ever attempted it, I suppose he thought
I'm not biting my
he needed to
nails.
do something for our entertainment, put himself
Yeah.
in some trouble for us.
And
Because he
what-
was a workaholic. His
Oh.
life was the phoenix.
I'll tell you another thing about potash. Do you remember that?
Well, I wrote about it.
How he used to clean the
Daddy, would you
carriage,
try my
clean
hair?
the horse every summer. And we'd all be getting dressed, ready to go and excited and everything. So before you know it, pops up in bed asleep. Potash waiting outside, tied to the tree.
But we did eventually go, it seemed.
Yeah.
And it was just misery, the whole performance from start to finish. It's much better had it not.
This was every week you did this, or this was? Oh.
I don't think so.
Potash was.
The horse.
Oh, okay. Oh, what did you go to school?
Bermuda horse stables for girls.
And then I was your teacher at one point, wasn't
Yes, he was. How long was that for him?
Only 6 months.
That long?
It seems like forever, doesn't it? It does.
he? And Aunt Dara as well?
No.
No. She
No.
wasn't here then?
She taught down to down to
No,
the
she would
Whitney.
have been here then.
Or she taught down to the Whitney.
To the
for a
Whitney
while.
Institute.
I know you were quite strict on
Was I? I didn't think I was.
Thought
I
you had
didn't
to be
want
a
to show her
special-
any
no
favoritism.
favoritism. So you didn't-
They were all keeping their eyes right on me.
What was Aunt Dora's full name?
Dorothy
Louise.
Auntie Louise, and she was between you two.
No,
No, she's
older.
Oh, okay.
15 months older than I am. I was
And Sonny Conway was,
2 years older than I. 2 years?
yeah,
He was born in 12, Doris 14.
yes, little space in between.
I was born in 15,
Yes.
Uncle Nudie and
7.
7, and then 8 years until.
Well, there was a little brother that died
Oh, that's right.
in 21. He was 2 years old. But the best fun I remember is 24th of May picnic.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
And that was a lot of work for everybody.
Tell about stirring silver and bone china plate. John packing it up in the basket, getting a carriage, which was very cheap.
Yeah.
But they didn't use paper plates, plastic forks, little bits of everything the woman had. And everyone took a chicken, except Aunt Mary.
Just about.
Chicken pie.
Oh,
I took the
And Uncle Roy always was looking for it.
just in the middle.
You call it wreck or rack? You know, after it's all gone.
I think it was wrecked, but for convenience, rack.
And Uncle Roy had his bear.
Yeah.
In a beer.
Oh, that's what I remember.
Yeah,
The
and
best
then
part
for
of it
that.
for the food for me was a great big case or cases and cases of mineral and all different flavors.
Sarsaparilla.
Yeah, sarsaparilla, raspberry, cream sodas, and we'd pineapple. We'd get to pick ours. And well, we children had fun, and usually end up in prickly pears and have to have them taken out.
And also
But weren't they all a lot older than you? So they weren't really, you were just a baby.
Yes, but my cousins,
Hey.
Suzanne and Stuart and Lyle,
Dad.
and the little Willy Bum Bums were there.
you don't remember Uncle Roy.
I do.
Yeah.
I remember him at Caribbean that summer.
He only
Was
liked
there-
the water.
He only liked the water. Gave him ice.
Just right.
That's right.
He had reached that stage.
Now, was your father running the drug company at this time?
Yeah.
Okay, when did it start?
Oh, 1902.
1902.
I think Pop joined in 1907. And it used to be across the road where the annex is resting at the moment. And the Phoenix building had burnt down, and somebody, Mr. Grantham, I think, rebuilt it. That's why it's called Phoenix. Rose from the ashes.
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't write it down.
I didn't know that.
And were all the brothers involved with the drug company at the
Yes,
time?
yes. Well, when they got older,
Uh-huh. They all worked there?
yes, Conway, Ewing, John.
So who actually owned the drug company at that time?
Well, the partners were Mr. Young,
Uh-huh.
Mr. Mercer, Laurie Shaw.
I don't know Mr. Mercer.
No, it's dead and gone.
How about his family? Are they, any of them still around? Or?
Well, no, not that you would know, but
Yeah.
Dorothy Masters, you
Okay.
know, Linda's mother, was a Mercer. She would have been his niece.
Mr. Mercer had two daughters, no sons to work in. But Mr. Mercer went first.
Mr. Mercer went in 56, and Mr. Young in 57, and Pop was placed in 58. And I forget how he said it, but he said, I gotta watch myself very carefully, because Mr. Young went in 56, and Mercer left in 57, it's my turn. You remember that?
Yes, I do remember
And so you married John Young and had how many children?
Reed, like Becky.
What were their names? I like the way the names are because it all comes back from the history.
Well, now, Ward is named Gibson Ward Young.
Yeah.
For his father, but I cut the John out because poor John Young. And normally they call you by your first name, but we did go Ward by his second name. But his uncle was Gibson Ward. So I thought he was known for a very interesting person. Then when Reed came along, they wanted me to name him William James, who was the young. I said, no, he is going to be Reed Trot, or another interesting character. My grandfather.
Mommy.
Yeah, my dear, yeah.
And Carol is Carol Mann.
Carol
He's the father of my children.
Yes,
On
yes.
February
That's what I'm giving you.
February 16th, 1944, at the Bermuda Cathedral. And Bill McGee had been stationed out here. In fact, I'm looking at it right across the way now where he was stationed, the U.S. Naval Air Station.
We'll have to pan over there, Laurie, and get,
Yes.
get that. Laurie McGee and Mike Page panning the Bermuda Sound, the Great Sound for the air station.
U.S. Naval
U.S.
Air
US
Station.
Naval Air, NOB.
NOB.
And it was made by the two islands
Yeah,
out there, and they dredged land and formed and made those two islands together to form
Daddy.
the Naval Air Station.
Oh, that was 2 islands. I didn't know.
Yeah, Morgan's Island and
Daddy.
Tucker's Island, right?
Daddy,
Got that right. Of course, Roy had to give up some of his land for that Naval Air Station, and it almost killed him.
Which land did he give up? Did he really give it up? Or
Yeah.
Did they pay him?
Well, they paid him, but
Oh, a very
very
little
little.
bit.
He always said that, but I wondered if it was
Oh,
really.
it's very well advised.
Because it was all waterfront, wasn't it?
Took his waterfront.
Oh, very hard.
But he had no choice. He had to relinquish it.
Yeah,
Well, he
Yeah.
talked about it, always talked about it.
constantly.
He'd be sitting at Lantana and he'd say, oh, look over there. That's my beautiful waterfront. I hate to look at it.
You remember it was full of cedar trees?
And Aunt Nan
Are we
would say,
ready?
Roy,
It's going.
don't be
Oh,
so
it's going?
foolish. Stop your silliness at once.
This is Uncle
pretty
Roy.
Yeah.
Okay, now, so Uncle Roy his full name was,
Roy Erskine Mayer. He was Mother and Uncle Willie's baby brother.
okay.
Earth.
And Lyle's father. Well, you didn't know. Did you know Lyle?
I think I met him once.
Uncle Roy's
Yeah,
son.
yeah,
Yeah, Craig's father.
right. Okay.
Anyway, Billy McGee was stationed out there at the Naval Air Station with Squadron VP 15. And we met down at Inverary where they had dances during the war. And,
Left you right off his feet.
yeah, yeah. And we met there in October, I think. And we were married in February 1644. And 3 lovely children were born from that marriage. It was wartime. Had a beautiful wedding to the cathedral. Mama, I said, let's have a big wedding. So sad, so done.
But all the lovely dresses.
Yeah.
Wartime.
Yeah.
How you got the material?
Got the last piece of satin in Bermuda, I think, on my wedding gown.
Who were your bridesmaids?
Diddle Hutchins was my maid of honor. Suzanne Atterbridge, my first cousin, was bridesmaid. I had a lot of bridesmaids. Natalie Conyers, Ann Conyers, Barbara Gibbons. That's about it. And lots of beautiful naval officers with their swords.
Oh, my.
Yeah,
All over the
yeah. And we had a lovely wedding. Not too hot of a marriage. Well, from here, well, we
19
met
years, was it all?
19 years. Three beautiful children. Well, Darling Nye was born out here.
But
Wartime.
William Nodling was named for Bill and Downfall. I just like to know where the name is.
Yes. You see, it was wartime, and I went out to California, build a squadron left here, and went out to California and became pregnant with Nye. Then Bill, San Diego. Bill was sent to the Pacific, and I came back. Connie Harnett happened to be, her husband was in the same squadron. And she and I came back on the train in wartime. She went on to New York, and I went to Washington. And then fairly soon, came back to Bermuda in May. Well, President Roosevelt died in April of that year while I was in Washington. Dreadful. Yeah, it's almost out of the world. And Mama and Baba until Pop could no longer stand to see a pregnant woman in the house. He would get bad pain.
Is that right?
And I went over to South Dunes.
You had to move out.
I had to move out.
Yeah, well, we excited. Didn't we?
Well, it's just coming to me. I think Pop was embarrassing.
He couldn't stand it.
Couldn't stand it to think of what was.
And whenever Pop couldn't stand it, then things had to change.
Yeah, that's right.
So
So I went over to South Dunes to wait for the delivery. Unfortunately, Dr. Masters was staying next door, not right next door, but up the way. And he had a car, one of the few that had a car. The doctors were able to. And I was taken in the morning of August the 3rd, nice and 7 o'clock in the morning, say, and we could just call Dr. Masters. And it worked out just fine. He'd be going to work. He picked me up. And they'll probably attack my suitcase very nicely. And off we went to the hospital.
Granny came on her bicycle to stay with the children. You know, I went down there and managed to wait till August.
Oh,
You remember
really?
that?
Well,
you
I
had
remember
it.
hospital in bed. But,
What about Vine?
oh, poor Vi. It was just cut match time. And Vi had been worrying all of July which day to take, the first or the second day. And she took the wrong one. She wanted to be home the day I was born, but she was bad to cut me. And, yes, and then,
Tell them about Boy having a spreading his fan.
yeah, the first one, the first baby I saw, I had night about 1:30 labor. The first one I saw, I had a private nurse, something else lovely we had in this business, and she brought in this baby, 24 hours. She brought in this baby, and I of course thought it was nice, and she took back the blanket and it was a black baby. And it was Blackie Talbot's baby.
Oh,
First
really?
child, yes.
Is that right?
I think I'm back to you when we start talking about it. And I was a bit shocked, rather shocked.
Yes, you were.
But she knew I liked the Talbot brothers and all that. We all do. So she was having a little fun with me. And so then somebody brought me a radio. I don't know if it was Fox or Pop or what. But maybe somewhere, yeah.
Who's Fox?
Toby's Fox, the mother.
Toby's mother.
Fox was married to my brother.
Okay, yeah. I know that.
Yes. And on that, you see, it was the 3rd of August, and I think it was the 5th or 6th of August. Like, famous date, I mean, take it out. That the atom bomb was dropped on Japan.
Oh, really?
And I heard it on the radio,
While you were in the hospital?
yes. And the nurse called the hospital and alerted the police about it or something. And it was hearing it over my radio that sent the sirens off in town.
Is that?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yes, well, I want you to know it. Yes. And the sirens started in town. It was all wonderful.
But Laurel wasn't, Keith wasn't as bad till the 14th
Right. Of August.
during birthday.
He said October. Huh. That's your anniversary.
And we must.
That's all right. Bush made a
Yeah.
mistake like that too.
Yes. What did you say, Gordon?
Is it Pearl Harbor Day was September the 25th?
September the 7th.
September the 7th?
Yeah, the day will go down in infamy. Anyway, so that was good, and then Nard and I went back to South Dunes to Annandale and family. We had a double, and Nard and I and the nurse and Grandma drove over to South Dunes back home.
And Baba
Lovely.
drove stronger.
That's right. But he was very good. He'd send different things down every day from the team.
Yes,
That he
we
thought
just
I
had
needed.
messages on bikes.
Oh, yeah.
Listen to boys.
Yeah. And he paid my hospital bill, which was very helpful.
Washington and you had Laurie?
5 years later. And I lost a baby boy the same night in Laurie. In September of 47. Yeah. At 8 months.
He was not there?
Yes, not there. It was meant to be. I was threatened with it each time. Gone. But I changed doctors, had a wonderful doctor who was onto it and had the x-ray to make sure it was something. Dr. Hawkins, yes. It started with you, but he very quickly got you out of it. He knew what was happening. Then you threatened. Let's get this baby out of here. Yeah. And we had a nice time.
You know the rest?
No, wait a minute. We gotta get the other part. Let's see. Then you had your second son was, what was that full name?
Andrew Trump.
Your second son.
Your second son, Laurie.
What was his full name?
Lorian Trump.
Lorian.
Lorian Trump McGee. Nide was William Nidlinger McGee III after his paternal grandfather. And Laurie after Baba. And Baba was big hunter, I want to tell you. Very big.
And what did I say? Something about, don't you feel strange calling this Laurie? What did you say? No, I said it's you.
Oh.
No.
Baba was very pleased because
No one had so on it.
no, Aunt Betty and Uncle Moody had named Lorian with an A. And first time she brought her over to Strawberry, she made a point to tell Pop, I want it made perfectly clear that she is not named for you, she's named for Ewing.
All of the services.
Where did Sharon's middle name come from?
That's on the McGee side. Now we go to very pretty Sharon Lane. Her Aunt Martha was Martha Lane. And I think it's on Nanan McGee's side.
It doesn't worry me. Do you remember that?
I do. I do. Oh, that's good time. Yes, we have good.
Well, this has been very educational.
You think so? Usually one does it.
No.
You know, we think
No.
they know. We think they were on
Well,
at all.
But you must have heard us laughing, talking, saying all this song.
But I never really knew, you know,
How it all fitted.
right, how it all fit. Anyone have any questions?
This will have to be continued. The only thing is a lot
Can
more.
you
Right.
to say.
keep it? Can you keep it?
Yeah.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Here we are at the Lorian McGee residence at Coral Lee, Jennings Bay, Southampton, Bermuda. It is November the 11th, 1988, 3 days after the election of George Bush, President of the United States of America. We have with us here today cousins of the McGee and Page families. To our left is, would you please tell us your name?
Jennifer Mayer Page.
Jennifer May Page. And who is that sitting beside you?
Amanda Elizabeth.
Amanda Elizabeth McGee. And sitting in the other chair is Rebecca.
Yeah.
Re-
Rebecca Page.
Rebecca and Paige. And who's sitting
Mom.
beside Rebecca?
Justin McGee.
Melissa Johnson McGee. And here we are together. They are all cousins. And they're in Bermuda now. Jennifer and Becky are visiting Amanda and Melissa. And they will be leaving shortly. But we just wanted to have you see them and let them talk to you a little bit and let them tell you what they think. Jennifer, would you begin? Have you had a good time here?
Yes, we've been down to a beach today, and
What beach was that?
Horseshoe Bay.
Horseshoe Bay. Who was over here just a little while ago?
Aunt Elle and Frana.
Grant. Do you live here, Mandy? How do you like Bermuda? You like it fine? Do you have any animals that live here with you? Do you have a dog? What's his name? Fudgy? What's your cat's name? Ah. Melissa. Who else is here visiting you this weekend? And who else? And who else? They came from New York. Who else is here?
Who's staying in the other bedroom?
An owl? Oh. Well, Becky. Becky, have you had a good time here? You have? Well, who did you get to see while you were here? Who are your cousins? Melissa and who else? Mandy? Have they ever been to North Carolina to see you?
Yes.
They have, haven't they? Did you go down to the beach today too? Did you go in the water? Wasn't it cold? It wasn't cold? It looked cold as me.
Freezing.
That water was
It
freezing.
was cold for me.
Ah. Well, did you go out? Did you go over to your Aunt Elle? What did you do over there?
I played.
Did you see your daddy and your Uncle Lloyd? Where were they?
Melissa.
Where were they? No, when you saw them yesterday, what were they doing?
I don't know.
Jennifer, what were they doing?
Playing golf. They were playing golf, and
That's-
we saw them through a taxi. It was sort of like a van taxi, and not one of those cabs.
You know something?
Real big.
Real big.
So this big.
Wow, that's big.
You want to
You know something, Jennifer? What's funny about in Bermuda that they don't do in the United States? The cars.
They're on the wrong side.
Of the road?
No,
What?
the steering wheels are on a different side.
Yeah.
It's on this side in North Carolina
Yeah.
and America, and it's on this side in Bermuda and England.
And what else do they do? They drive on the wrong side.
Becky,
They drive on the wrong side of the road too, don't they?
Becky.
Yeah. Drive on the wrong side of the road.
Oh, Becky.
Yeah.
Becky.
What? Tell us something else.
Tell us what you did today.
They did.
You're the only one.
Let me.
Did you go shopping?
Yes.
What'd
It's
you-
on Sister Sale.
Ooh.
For real.
What did you get? What did you get?
We got a little bag. It was pink and it had.
Huh?
And it had it was pink and it had a black zipper
Uh-huh.
and it had a black string to hold on with it. And it said it was in black. It was printed Bermuda.
I bet that's nice.
And I got a mirror and it's in this sort of like case.
Mm-hmm.
Purple like
Ah.
and stuff like that.
Melissa, tell us where you go to school. Where? Heron Bay. Do you like school? You do? Do you like school? Who's your teacher? What's your teacher's name? What grade are you in? What grade are you in? P1? P1?
Primary one.
Primary 1. What grade are you in, Jennifer?
I'm not in grade.
Well, there you are.
I
So
am
what?
not.
12th grade?
No.
Yeah. What grade? Oh, get it on her.
I am in the 3rd grade at Old Richmond Elementary.
What's your teacher's name?
Miss Nance and Miss Sherman.
What are your favorite subjects?
You like reading,
Reading.
math. You don't like that? Art?
Reading, art. French. Reading, art, and French.
Yeah.
What do you learn Francais?
Oui, je parle français.
Très bien.
It's not funny.
What are you going to do when you grow up? Do you know yet? Whoa!
No, Melissa, no.
I don't know yet.
You might like to be a doctor or a nurse or an airline stewardess.
Fireman?
No, I might be
A pilot? She wants to be a pilot. Becky, Becky, come here a minute. Sit with Jennifer. Okay. Well, tell us what you think about Bermuda, and if you'd like to come back, and then we'll end it there.
Well, they have pretty houses.
They do, don't
And
they?
they have all kinds of colors.
Yeah, they're all colored,
Blue
different
and
colors.
pink and orange
Yeah.
and white.
How do you like your cousin's house?
Pretty nice.
Very nice, isn't it?
I like the bed they made.
What have they got going down the street?
Bananas.
What else? Yeah, don't they have orange trees down there?
Yeah, they have
Lime.
orange and lime and
Lemon.
lemon trees.
Yeah.
Grapefruit?
We got banana trees.
You got banana trees. You planted a banana tree, didn't you?
Yeah.
Oh boy. Well, girls, come on in here so you can say goodbye to the camera.
Bye.
All get together.
Everybody get
Bye.
up.
Everybody left.
Becky, come on over here to Jennifer's chair. Yeah, you can have it. Come on.
Don't
Yeah.
you go my chair,
Yeah.
please. Amanda, get up.
All over in this
Amanda,
chair.
get over here. Everybody say goodbye together. Everybody say goodbye together. Okay. I'll give it to you when you say goodbye. Get over there, man. And everybody say goodbye. And I'll count to three. And I'll count to three. Ready?
Wait.
Ready? 1, 2, 3.
See you later.
Well, I thought you might ask,
Oh.
do the interrogating. Oh, you're just down here. That's
Just
lovely.
here for a minute, yeah.
Yeah, lovely.
Well, let me just say that today is Sunday, November 13th, and today we've changed the venue. We're at Windy Corners, and we thought we'd continue with the talk with Aunt Elsie and my mother about days gone by in Bermuda, and so if we could carry on from there.
Yeah,
Would you like to carry on with this, or
Whatever you think.
that's an excellent.
Cameraman.
Yeah.
It's
Wonder-
very lovely of you to come and do this. I think it's lovely.
I got the keys for about an hour and a half.
Has everyone gone out as well?
No, they're all standing cedar work up there.
Oh,
Yes.
so you got an hour and a half hours away from the
Away from the work.
Yeah.
Yes.
Very sweet of
Very
you.
nice.
And I hope all my grandchildren and their children, I hope it'll last so that they can show it. I think it's an excellent idea for everybody to do this,
It is, yes.
for posterity.
Absolutely. Absolutely, as Christmas.
Anyway, the other day we started off with Shawbury, in the early days of Shawbury. I wondered if today we could step back a little
Hear
further
all
than that.
that I was saying about Sean.
I didn't show you right back to the beginning.
Oh, that's
I
right.
started later, so.
Yeah.
But I wondered if we could go right back to when the Trots first arrived in Bermuda, and the date and the names, and maybe filter down a little bit.
And
the
I
history of the
wasn't
Trots.
here.
You weren't here. I was here.
But it is said that Perry and Trott, a merchant in London, belonged to the Bermuda Company. He hadn't been to Bermuda, but he was concerned what was happening to his company in Bermuda, so he sent his son Nicholas out. And Nicholas obviously fell in love out here and married and settled. And we have come through the generations from him and Harriet. I was just thinking if I could remember how many generations there have been.
Did you give the
Two,
date?
three, four.
Yes, the date was.
We are about 1776 when Giles Trott, the fourth son of Miriam and Samuel, was born. It was about the American Revolution, wasn't it?
Well, why did I always think 1679 was the...
Oh, 1679, Perrion,
Perrion.
Nicholas House.
Ah.
Yes, but I'm talking about the generation when Howard Trott and we were brothers, so we come from the brothers. And I could have got that thing and sort of read it off, you know.
You can get it.
I was born Francis Wood Trott on February 6, 1925. Baby of 5 children, 2 brothers and 2 sisters. The elder brother was Reed Conway Mayer Trott, born in April 26, 1912. My sister Dorothy Louise was born March 4, 1914. My dear sister Elsie to my left here, the family historian, was born June the 11th, 1915. Then my brother Ewing, Lorian Ewing Trott, was born August 14th, 1917. And just for the generations, that's I just want you to know who you're talking to.
Well, now that I've looked this up, we are the 9th generation since Perrion Trott in 1679. And we know about Perrion in 1644 that he was in Bishopsgate Street, London, a member of the Bermuda Company. And then Nicholas comes out. Actually, it's Samuel. Samuel came to Bermuda about 1670 and married Elizabeth, daughter of John Stowe. Married twice. Sarah, daughter of John Stowe. I always
So
thought
Perrion was not the first.
Perrion never really came.
Oh, he didn't come. He sent Nicholas.
He sent actually, he sent his son Perrion and Samuel and John and Nicholas out here. And Nicholas went off and became governor of the Bahamas.
Oh.
But we are descended, your mother and I, from Samuel, who was the second son of Perrion, and who married here and died here. And then he had a son and named him Perrion. And he married Jane, the daughter of somebody Winfield, I don't know who they are. Then they had a son named Samuel, who married Miriam, daughter of the Honorable Henry Corbusier of Orange Grove Flats.
Oh.
And he was born in she was born in 1724 and died in 1780. And then it comes down to their children. And Giles was the 4th son. They had Henry and Samuel and Perrion and Giles. And from Giles comes our side of the family. They put it down as Giles the Devil's Toe. 4th son of the Honorable Samuel and Miriam Trott. Then they had Thomas Samuel Julius. Okay. And then they had Thomas Murray Trott. And Thomas Murray Trott had Adolphus William Reed Trott, who is our grandfather. And then it goes on from there. They had Dorian Trott, and Mary, and Catherine, Genevieve, and Edward, and then.
And we branched out from there.
And what about the mayor side?
And there. Gosh, I get that out too.
Yeah,
Well,
I can follow that.
the Reverend John Mayer was born in 1755 in Shoal Strawberry, England. And he married Sarah Porter. And she was of Shrewsbury as well. And they were married in 1795 in St. Mary's Church, Shrewsbury, England. They also lived in Strawberry, which gives the name of Mother and Pop's house. Then they had William Henry Mayer, who came out here. He was born in 1800 and came out here when he was 20. And he finally married, or eventually married, I should say, Mary Burroughs Fowle in 1832 in St. Anne's Church, Southampton. And when he wrote his mother that he was, well, the letter says, yes. First of all, she is very homesick for this young man who's left home in England. And she said, you must return to your dear mother and father who miss you so much. The next letter he writes, he says, I'm going to marry Mary Burroughs Fowle. So she writes back and sends best wishes to the young lady who doesn't call her Mary Burroughs Fowle or anything.
And Charlie never saw his mother again.
No, never did. And then built Shrewsbury in 1832. We're crazy.
Yeah.
1832.
And they had Captain William Henry Mayer, who is our grandfather. And he married Eliza Ann Anderson Freeland. And they said, Freeland. Married St. James Church, Somerset, in 1883. And they're both buried in St. James Churchyard, Somerset. And they had daughter Frances Jauncey Freeland Mayer. And you see, this will be interesting for your children who are named Jauncey and Mayer.
Yeah.
Jennifer's Jennifer Mayer.
Yes, and Melissa
Melissa's
Jauncey.
Melissa Johnson.
And Frances Jauncey Freeland Mayer married Lorian Conway Trott of the Flats.
Of the flats.
Of the Flats, you know, he lived down there.
Mm.
He used to court Mother every Sunday, I think, and walk from Flats to Somerset, which is about, what, how many miles?
Must be 15.
15. And on the way, he picked wild flowers, you know, thistles.
He must have had a bike.
No, he walked.
But
And
he
got
could
home
have
again.
He could have had a bike.
He could have had one, but I don't know that he could afford one.
Mm.
Really and truly.
Couldn't.
He always told me he walked.
And Mama was at Shrewsbury then, or was she at Hermitage?
She was at Hermitage.
Hermitage, which
Yes.
was built by, I didn't hear that.
It was built by, well, actually it belonged to Eliza Ann Freeland, who had inherited it from her father, who was an Irish, I think. What's that Irish? Ed, not Edmund. Irish. Lived at the
Richmond?
yeah.
I've never done.
Oh, Uncle Roy
names.
always.
That's
told.
our relation.
Anyhow, that is in Freeland.
Mhm.
That's our linked Uncle Ira, isn't it?
Yes, through Mother. We are related
Our
to
blood.
the Irish.
Your Uncle Ira.
If you can believe it.
You didn't know
Anyhow.
Uncle Ira, did you?
No, I never remember him. But he was alive when I was born.
Yeah, he died in 57, I think.
Yeah.
So Bama grew up at the Hermitage.
Mama grew up the Hermitage, and Pop grew up in the Flats.
Yeah. And Shrewsbury was built after,
1832.
that was a long time. So who lived there while Bama was, her family were?
Well, Aunt Woody, who is the sister of Captain William Henry Mayer, you see. I'm not giving you all the siblings. I'm just giving you a direct line of the family.
Yeah.
I think something that's very interesting, what always intrigued me was that Grandma's brother married Grandpa's sister, and they went all the
The
way
Freelands.
from here to Denver, Colorado during the gold rush days, wasn't it?
Right. And lived out there.
Yeah, what was their name? Do you remember? Is it here? I don't remember.
Well, they're the children of.
Yes,
They're the
it was
children.
an unusual name. I don't remember.
No, you've got me, I don't know.
Porter, not Porter.
Porter married an Englishman. Oh, Roy could tell you stories.
But anyway, it's very
Brother and
interesting.
sister married brother and sister.
Yes,
And the Freeland connection went out to Denver.
that went out to Denver. And one of their children, Hilda,
Hilda.
Mabel.
Hilda and Mabel. Mabel married the mayor of Denver, Mr. Stapleton.
Benjamin Stapleton. And today, and for several years, when he was mayor, the big airport in Denver was built, the current airport, and it was named Stapleton Field. And it continues to be so called today.
Stapleton Airport.
Yes.
Stapleton International.
Oh,
Stapleton
International.
International,
Of
that's
course,
right.
Of course.
And as Mike introduced that it was 3 days since the election of George Bush to the presidency, why Mr. Bush's niece, who was, what's the first
Debbie.
Debbie.
Debbie Walker.
Debbie Walker of Walker
Stapleton.
Cup fame, and that's for tennis or golf.
And, yes.
Yes.
George Bush is the brother of Debbie's mother, who was a Walker.
Yes, so that Debbie Stapleton, Craig's wife, is Mr. Bush's niece.
Oh, sure.
And that's quite
You
interesting.
know Debbie and Craig.
And Craig, sure.
Well, that, you see, through the years will be interesting for you.
Yeah, that's history.
Your generation.
And if you get out to Denver, any of you, why, you see the name Stapleton, all the Freelands, there are no Freelands.
No.
Why?
But the
There
Freelands
are.
were there.
Mabel Freeland
Yes, but there were
married.
no sons.
No son.
No children, I don't think, of Hilda and
Hilda
Freeland
didn't have any, but Mabel did.
had been.
Yeah.
Yes,
And the girl.
but there are no Freelands.
No.
That name is dropped.
No, that name's gone.
Yeah.
Right.
And from here for a long
Yeah.
time ago.
Yeah. Quite true.
Yeah.
That's very
So that was interesting, wasn't it?
Very interesting, yeah. And
I'm doing good. I used to hate it when Mother would prod me to say these things that she knew, but she put it on me to tell, and I'd clam right up. I knew it from tell about this. Mother.
Mother's a sister in law. What do you think, Laurie?
I don't think so. Sometimes.
Mother could have told it herself and told it beautifully.
Yeah. But she'd get nervous. All that
Maybe you could tell
education.
about the table that I have now that was
Oh,
Mama's table, Mama and Baba's table at Strawberry.
that's right. That's interesting.
Came from Mount Woody.
Came from that Woody and Shrewsbury,
Yeah.
Yes, that's right.
which Uncle Roy always wanted to have back for me.
Yeah.
Oh, don't
Did
you
he?
know you did?
Oh, he always wanted to trade.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Trade. Why, he said after Bama died that was the only thing worthwhile that Bama had was the dining room table and sideboard.
The sideboard, he used to say, shouldn't have those brass handles on it. They were out of the generation or the era that they
Yes.
should have been.
Well, the wonderful man that restored the sideboard for Sharon, the sideboard is in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, as we speak. Having traveled many miles.
As the table did as well, and then came back again.
That's right. Right. It's all very interesting.
And you know that,
But anyway, I just want to
All
tell
right.
you that the man that restored the sideboard, he knew that those glass knobs were wrong, and it now has brass. It looks lovely.
Yeah.
It's done a beautiful job.
Yeah.
The doors don't drop off on your toes.
you should just fill it in with something.
But what, did we ever decide if the table was made here, or was it made in England and brought over?
Oh, I
Because
would.
it does have Bermuda cedar in it, I think we decided.
Oh,
There is
really?
cedar in the base.
Underneath?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's mahogany.
It probably was made here. It belonged to, I expect William Henry Mayer had it made when he was married to, or maybe it's the foul inheritance.
Yeah.
But Aunt Woody, Shrewsbury was left to the last surviving daughter. And when she died, everything went up for auction. including the house and the van and everything in it. I think Uncle Willie wasn't married, so Mother and Uncle Roy bought most of it. They actually paid for it.
Oh, really?
Bought it. And I always thought it was so sad that they split things up, you know, like, I think you have some salad plates. And Mother took 6 and Uncle Roy had 6.
Yes, Uncle Roy tried to get those back from me too. They ought to be together. They've always meant to be together.
But he made the first mistake.
Yeah.
And those that Dora had out there with the painted flowers, they had a dozen of those, and Dora got 6.
And the other ones I'm thinking of that I had.
Yes.
That Aunt Louise painted on. And they're fruit sets. The fruit sets. Mother had them always on
Right.
the DN.
You got it.
Yes. And they're on my sideboard right now.
They survived the tornado?
Yes.
Yes.
They've certainly been through a tornado.
But I always thought that was very interesting that those things weren't willed to anyone. They were
That's
sold
right.
at auction. But I think they
I didn't know
decided
that.
to have a private sale, you know, not the public didn't come. They may have come after they decided what they wanted. And that's when Uncle Roy sold his rights in Hermitage to buy
Shrewsbury.
Shrewsbury.
Yes. Very
Always
wise.
regretted it.
Always regretted it, but wasn't he wise?
Yes. He always gave that up. Got the still piece.
Yeah. This old house.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the Hermitage property went, of course, right
Right
on Middle
down.
Road, right over to the water.
Oh, yes, the Hermitage did, yeah. Some 20 acres. And that was all through the Outerbridge, William R. Outerbridge, now you remember, who lived in
Yes.
Bridge House. And it burnt down?
The house.
Yes. They had a son who drank. And one night, caught it fire. Broke it on fire.
But how did he give the land to the Freelands or the mayor? The Freelands it would be.
Well, you see, he owned, I think, from Bridge House straight around to Hermitage. All the land that the Browns and the Davidsons and all those people owned, I think was originally, Outerbridge. And through the generations, as they willed it and split it up, and different families sold it, that was the only piece left
And you
that
think
the mayors had.
great-grandpa or somebody Freeland bought it from Mr. Outerbridge or was willed?
No, it was willed to his wife, Frances Chauncey Freeland, who is the mother of this. See, we're not doing the Freelands,
No.
but her mother was Frances Chauncey Freeland, and she owned all this property.
Our grandmother's mother wasn't Frances Chauncey Freeland.
No, her mother was.
Her-
Her mother was.
Your
Frances.
grandmother's mother. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. My grandmother's mother wasn't Frances Chauncey Freeland.
No, your great-grandmother.
You got it wrong, Elsie.
No, your great-grandmother was. Your great-grandmother
Was Frances Chauncey Freeland?
Of course.
No.
On this side.
My great-great-great or somebody was Frances
No.
Chauncey Freeland.
I'll just get my... Right, to a degree. Frances Chauncey Burroughs married Henry Carey Freeland.
Yes, 1795. Look at
And
the
they
date.
had a daughter. 1795. They had a daughter, Louisa Outerbridge, daughter of William Outerbridge. That's where that property comes from.
Yes,
From Louisa Outerbridge,
yes,
right down to her.
yes.
This is her daughter.
Louisa
Louisa,
Outerbridge's daughter.
yes. Her grandmother, sorry, was Frances Chauncey Burroughs.
Still seems awfully
Close?
close.
Well, it's
Because look, Grandma was born in 1856. She was, well, of course, she was a grandmother.
yeah. Well, and this one was.
That would work out
I
pretty
haven't
well.
got her date.
You start getting frisky so late.
Are you taking that, Laurie?
Yes, it's all
I'm
there.
thinking of Laurie doing this to some of the relatives, maybe.
That's fun.
Frances
Yeah,
Chauncey
like
Freeland there. You have to separate those feelings. That's the maternal side and the mayor's side, the paternal.
Yes.
But it was always Grandma Grandma Mayor's house and land, the Hermitage. It didn't have anything to do with the mayor's.
No.
It was Freeland property and
Yes.
house and everything. And these people, Anderson, well, she was Mrs. Freeland, yes, and they called each other Mr. and Mrs. Freeland.
Yes.
They never called them by name, William and Henry, or Louisa and Henry. Was Mrs. Freeland, the cat is kitten. The cat is kitten with my ankle. She was something.
And wasn't there some fever that went around when Mama was little?
Yes, and two of Grandma's children died of it.
Or was it the flu?
Typhoid
Typhoid
fever?
fever.
Typhoid.
Typhoid fever.
And what was all that fever that the Boer prisoners were up there on the island about?
Yellow
Is Mother
fever.
alive there?
Yes. Mother remembers the war.
Yes.
She was born in 1891. And they came here in 1900, I think, 1901.
Huh.
But she remembers hearing about them.
Yes. What island were they on?
Well, there are lots of those islands, like the Long Island and Port Island. All of them.
They've got little grave markers down there.
Yeah. Where do we go when we go swimming right now?
Hawkins Island.
Hawkins. And you see
They were on
all
Hawkins Island.
the latrines running down in the river.
Oh, that's what they were.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever known that. Well, I know it should.
And when James was here, he was very interested in diving up things in the water. He'd bring up pieces of china, blue and white. And it belonged to those Boers, the people who were taking care of the Boers.
Wouldn't the mayors have been very isolated out there in Somerset? I mean, there was no
Very.
one else out there at all.
There weren't even any roads.
There were dirt roads.
Well, the Hunts were out there, the Gilberts were out there.
Wow.
That satisfied everyone.
Yeah. They sort of each parish would have had to keep to themselves, wouldn't they?
Well, I read somewhere where the Gilberts owned Huntham, or the Hunts owned Huntham and Somerset House
Oh
in
yeah.
Paget. And she'd say to this little colored girl, just run down to Mrs. So-and-so's, who's down at Paget, no road or anything. And she'd just pick her way through the land, go down to get whatever she wanted.
Send a message.
Yeah, send a message. And when anyone died, someone went around on horseback and took little white cards with black borders and said so-and-so's dead. The funeral will be, had to always be right away because there was no embalming.
And where would Mama have gone to school? Had there ever been a school out there, or did they?
Well, she went to Miss Jenny Plow. She went to Miss Jenny
She
Plow,
did.
who taught her deportment and, what did they call it, writing? Some very special
Penmanship.
penmanship. And she always knew how to write thank you letters and things like that, the correct way.
This daughter had to write the way she
She
did.
had some fancy writing.
Make her wild when you say you can't understand it.
You could copy it from you.
Yes, I can. Oh, but Mother, I was laughing when you asked about her going to school, because the miles, every time you'd ask her, it seemed to me the number of miles would grow. It was
Walk
8
there,
miles
walk
up
back.
and 8 miles back. It got up to be.
There aren't 8 miles in the whole of Somerset. It just seemed 8 miles.
But rain or shine.
Yes, she
walked
did
it.
walk. She had to go way up there by the cricket field.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Past the church.
Quite a distance.
From Holiday Lodge.
Thought nothing of it, as Bob would say.
Quite a few people lived up there.
Yes.
The Fowles and Gilberts and Hunts. Lots of them, lots of children. They all had. They had quite a social life, calling on each other.
Now, all I know, I'm going to go to Pop's side now, was Hillcrest down in the flats. And Pop was
Pop
born and
never
raised
lived
in
there.
the flats.
He never lived in
He never-
Newport.
No. He was born at
Bridgeland.
Bridge House, which is right at Flats Bridge. And that's where they would have been living, Grandma and Grandpa?
Yeah, they lived there for a while. They also what's that guest house down there now on the
Oh,
corner?
yeah.
Palmetto Bay.
Palmetto
Palmetto
Bay.
Bay.
Right there.
Yeah, they lived over there, and Grandma and Grandpa lived in this house right on the corner. But since which they put that roundabout, it used to be right on the road.
And there was another house, wasn't there, which is near Devil's Hole, at the bottom of Napton Hill, which was a truck.
Oh, now that is Thomas Murray Truck's house. My grandfather's father.
Which is now open to the public. Is it open to the public?
Well,
Historical Society.
John Trimmingham runs his carpet business from there. Yes, the
Oh.
Historical Society bought it, I think.
I've never been in it, have you?
National Trust, they bought it. But when Grandpa Trot had a eye operation, he sold all that land, all except the Devil's Home. And he owned there, all around the Devil's Home, John Smith Bay Park. Sold it for his operation.
And Johnson's Bay?
No, this side, the other side.
Now, on the pedigree, it talks about Walsingham, and that was the original sort of,
Well, that was where the
is that
Trots-
still standing and habitable?
Yeah. Samuel Trot came from Bermuda and died at Walsingham.
Yeah.
And then he had Perry and Trot, who lived at Walsingham. And then the Honorable Samuel, also of Walsingham. They're all there. But when Jaws came along, he's the fourth son, so he must have got some property down at the Devil's Hole. And his brother, the eldest brother, would have got Walsingham, I think.
Yeah, he was sucking hind too.
What are you talking about?
Now, if you want to know about
I
the
think it explains it very well, Laurie.
Yes, it does.
I hadn't realized he was the fourth son till a few weeks ago, but birth order is very interesting.
and you don't get so much when you're fourth.
Especially in those days.
Yes. Um,
Share alike.
Here is Captain Must. See, Julian Trot, Thomas Samuel Julian Trot married Mary, daughter of Captain Mustin of West County.
Yes, they were all white then, weren't they?
They were.
Pure white. They'd have to be sensitive.
You know, maybe he didn't have any sons. Maybe he's the one who's doing all this
You're right.
little bit of stuff.
Wouldn't be surprised.
Anyhow, we should not be delving into other people's business.
So how did Baba meet Baba?
Oh, through Uncle Willie.
Through Uncle Willie?
You see, Uncle Willie was a businessman in Hamilton.
At
which was
Piermont, Washington.
At Piermont, Washington. It was a very big deal in those days to be a businessman in Hamilton. Pop was a businessman in Hamilton, and they must have met somewhere. And he just said to Pop, would you come up sometime and visit with us in Somerset?
Just
It's
come
about
up.
Laura, too.
Oh, really?
It's something to do with Aunt Laura, I think. Anyhow, Pop went up and he found this gorgeous vision, 19 years old, just fell absolutely head over heels on the brick steps.
At Hermitage.
At Hermitage.
I wonder how long from the time they met till they were married.
Well, Mother was only 19 and a half as a boy, wasn't she?
Yes, that's right.
Oh, she was married very
Was
soon.
it 1910?
1911.
1911? Yeah.
They were married.
Oh, they were
I
married.
don't know about.
Because if she was 19, she was born in 91.
Yes, she'd have been 20 when she was married. Yeah.
Well, they were married July 6th, 1911, and she was 20 on the 30th of July.
Yeah.
So she was 19, just
When we met.
finished that.
So they courted for a year.
Another very interesting story is in those days they used to say prayers in the house. And they had all these little prayer chairs, you know,
Oh,
I've got
that
one in
darling
there.
little chair, yeah.
And they'd all come in, kneel down. They'd all laugh.
They all laughed.
This
Grandma
is at the man.
at Hermitage.
Yeah.
And Grandma would be left conducting the service moved over to Shawbury and had five.
Baby.
25. I used to go up and stay with Aunt Nan and Roy, Shrewsbury, when I was little, 4 years old.
They were living there in those days?
When Mother and Pop went away, they took care of the house right after Aunt Woody died, just lived in it for the summer, like a summer
She
house.
would have been the last inhabitant. Nobody left.
Oh. Maybe they had already bought it, you see, because this is about 23, the last time Pop ever went away. And they went to Toronto. And I can remember Aunt Nan reading Mother's letter that she sent from Toronto and talking about the beautiful beaches up there. And Uncle Edwin went off to that island in the middle of the lake. I was quite homesick for them. Little girl living way up there in Somerset with Aunt Nan and Uncle Roy.
Yeah.
And Jan and Laura. Laura was 8 months old. I used to watch the ants going along,
Yeah.
building little burrows. What do they call ant hills? And Laura would be in the baby carriage with monkey strap on her.
I did it.
1923.
Well, we always remember them as being, when we were little, they were reasonably affluent, but they always talk about, they started off as orange crates or something. for
Oh,
furniture.
Mother and Pop.
Yeah.
Yes, quite
Had
true.
nothing, so.
Nothing, absolutely nothing. Mother make a little cloth front, side what was on the shelves of the crate.
At Shawbury.
Oh, no,
By
no.
that time.
This is over at Northstone. I heard the Watson Franklin.
Yeah.
I remember Mother saying that they went from after they were married, they went from their wedding to honeymoon down to Belmont. And I always thought that was pretty ritzy for those days that they did that. And Mama said she would go down on the rocks there where the ferry wharf is now and look out towards Somerset, and she got so homesick she just bawled her eyes out.
They had to come
Down on the
up.
rocks.
Didn't they have to come up?
I don't remember that when I did.
But there was something to spend all that money.
Yeah,
to
she
go there.
didn't even have it to spend.
Yes, but he didn't like spending.
No.
If you remember. Got a bit upset about that because he was taking some of his time.
That's right.
But no, he thought that made her happy.
But all that, it seemed to me
Are
Uncle
you,
Roy
you
did.
got that on?
We're going. Yeah.
Uncle Roy or Aunt Nan did all the talking. All Mother would say, she'd be there in the dark. I said,
Yes, Roy.
Oh. Oh, Roy, no. Oh. Roy. Don't tell me.
Never
Yes.
volunteered anything.
Little conversation on
One
Mother
night,
then.
Dora wrote it down exactly what she said. Yes, no, no.
But Uncle Roy and Mama spoke every evening, didn't
Yes.
they? Every evening.
And
I
our
would
Uncle
say
Willie.
until, no, Uncle Willie never got in much on it.
But she had to call them, so I felt.
She had
For
her
loyalty.
Uncle Roy, but Uncle Willie was excited. God, don't show it to the Willie man. Willie dead and gone. Oh, Willie.
But I wanted to finish about the table. Did we finish about that? But it is unusually large
Width.
width
Very
of
wide.
wood.
Which is
Must have come
very
from a
good.
very large mahogany tree.
Oh, they grow mahogany in the West Indies. They
Yeah, I
brought
heard
it up
about
from the
that,
West
too.
Indies.
Because there was a mahogany trade way back there
We have a letter about it as well that
Do
you
you?
gave me.
from Uncle Roy.
From Uncle Roy, was it? Yeah. I think so, yeah.
And he apologized for not knowing more than he did.
He didn't know anything. Surely anything I say is making it up.
Well, I told Uncle Roy, please make it up. It's very,
Put
very
it in
old,
writing,
and it's
maybe.
been greatly admired other at the same time.
Yeah.
The sideboard and the beautiful D ends. I think they're so pretty too.
Just tell us about Aunt Woody, because you're Francis Wood for Aunt Woody,
Yes.
and
I
I don't
never
know
knew
much
her.
about Aunt Woody.
Well,
You didn't know her.
Everything.
That's how I got the dining room furniture, and that I always wanted it.
Mm.
Never got the pleasure of using it.
But the
Well-
chairs went to New Zealand.
They went to New Zealand.
Yes.
Great mistake.
No, those chairs were chairs that Dora bought in England for Mother.
No,
Oh,
they
I
weren't
know.
part of the
They
set,
weren't
no,
from you,
but they were
though.
used at
No,
Shawbury.
but it was a shame.
They were used there.
Yeah.
It's a shame that
And where do you hear? Oh, you know it. They were all burned up.
Yeah.
They were
But-
all burnt up?
Yes, Brian and Trisha
Oh, yeah.
stored all their furniture to move. The warehouse burnt down.
Oh, dear.
All her pictures were all the children. Everything. Right. She did have one chair out because she wanted to have a couple made. What are you doing that for?
Being silly like that.
Everything.
Keep going.
I keep forgetting that song.
That's good, yeah.
What was I doing?
About the chairs and Brian.
Oh, well, they had one out, but they were going to have copied. But they only, Mother only had 8?
She had that many. 6, I think.
6. Well, they wanted to get 2 more made like it.
They saved one from the fire? One wasn't it? Oh, wasn't that lucky?
Yeah. The only thing they said.
But you see, Daro didn't have a table, dining room table that she liked. The
Yeah.
shame of it being split up.
Yeah.
Table sent to, chair sent out to her.
Well, that's all right. When you've got 5 children, you've got to split something up, haven't you?
Yeah.
And Dora.
And we had a table and no chair.
Dora got all the things that she bought in England for Mother
Yes, I know.
when she was over there.
Yes.
You got everything that was wood, and I got everything that was freelance, like that table in
Yes.
And Belmont actually took the time to
there. Yes.
go to a lawyer, have all those listed for me.
Yeah.
Great job.
Which is really
Steve.
Which I'm not doing.
Oh, I want it known. I know you and Sharon know it verbally, but I have in the safety deposit box photographs of every bit of china and furniture that's in that apartment. And I have it differentiated, which is mine and which is Peter's. And it should be very helpful to you all.
Yes, could be.
I've done that for fire insurance.
Yes, with the same type thing. Works 2
Took
ways.
pictures all the way through the house and on the porch. Very interesting.
Right.
The mayor at the farm, that table belonged to her. That's real old Bermuda.
Yes, yes.
Burroughs,
Right.
you can't do any better than that. can you?
No. Let's sell it, same one.
But these two sent out a lot of sterling silver with the mayor crest on it to them. Now, isn't that something for them to do that in a sailing vessel?
And that was split up. Mom had some of that, didn't she? A little bit of that. Uncle Roy had some.
Mother had
Really?
very little. Where is it? Did you get it? Not one piece.
I still got old Lily's thick yellow plate that she had to eat off of. It had the slanted sitting on it.
You know, that was terrible.
Terrible.
I had to say something.
Yeah.
Being recorded, you know.
Yes.
Oh, no, we shouldn't say
No
that.
one
Yeah, you
will.
should.
No one will understand that.
No, they won't.
I didn't like it then.
I was bringing it up to Don the other day. He was saying he didn't realize I had that little expression. I mustn't say more.
But did all 5 of you live at Shawbury? All 5 children at one time?
Nothing different.
Nothing different.
One bathroom.
But it couldn't have been for very
One
long.
bathroom.
One bathroom. Because you were born at 25 and Uncle Copy would have been, what,
Well,
10? He was
no.
born at
He
14?
was almost 15.
Yeah.
He was born at 12.
At 12.
Well, Dora, you were born in 25 and Dora went away in 31. So we
6
were
years.
only all there together, really, from 25 to 31, 6 years.
Yes. Then it started breaking, splitting up. Well, just Aunt Dora went.
Yeah, and then I
And
went.
you went the next year.
Ewing went the next year. To
Two
Bishop.
of you, three of you gone. What,
Yeah.
just Sonny and me then?
But Ewing went in 34. Ewing went in 32. I went in 33.
Oh, he went before you?
Yeah, because he went to boarding school. Such a shame he didn't stick it on his own.
And what'd you do for entertainment? You played ping pong a lot, I know.
Uh,
Played a lot of ping pong.
Yeah, that was
Dance.
later.
Dances, yeah.
Oh, yeah, private dances and bridge parties. Go over to the Belmont and Brewery on the ferry. Leave on the 12 o'clock ferry, last piece, 12 o'clock. Ferry's leaving, and if you don't catch the ferry, you rent a carriage, and that costs your whole week's salary. Do you remember that? You weren't so much in that.
No.
But John would have to pay 30 shillings for the carriage, and I think he was making 30 shillings a week.
But you missed it a few times.
Oh, yeah, very often. But in those days, you didn't think about money.
And you had a lot of sailing parties and
Yeah,
the calm and
yes, that was the
I
river.
remember that.
And
Not that I was there, but I remember Mother worrying.
Hank Young sitting next to Rendell Art, and somehow they were trying to hold Sheila's hand. I think Sheila was sitting in the middle. Instead of holding Sheila's hand, they were holding each other. Oh my Lord.
Yes.
That was when the Ridley cricket team was here.
Oh, yeah.
John was down there to meet me at 5 a.m.
My dear.
Yes, we went home. I said, oh, my mother's going to be so worried. One of them said, if you mention your name again, I'm going to throw you overboard. She was terrified. And we brought Sheila home with us. She was making all the noise. Nothing. Mother just said, will you leave this house and let my daughters go to bed?
Didn't you try to introduce her to somebody?
Yeah, that's when I
What did she say?
I don't know you and I don't wish to know you. Will you leave this house and let my daughters go to bed?
And it was one of the Ridley.
Ridley boys.
Yes.
Yeah.
The lots of those before Bill McGee and even John Young came along, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, not many.
No, not many for me either. No.
More just sort of all together parties.
But you all seem to have a lot of parties, I thought. The kiddie parties and
Oh. We should
Different
take
things.
pictures of those kids.
Yeah.
They were gorgeous. You remember?
I remember you all having them.
Were you allowed to go?
No, of course not.
Well,
Wanted
you
to.
were 10.
I wasn't allowed to go. Just very empty.
Pop must have stayed with you and didn't.
Did Mother go?
Oh, she was running in that school. Or maybe just we were.
Yeah.
And we had those little dresses made, smart, Scar and I,
Yeah.
with matching pants and little
Yeah.
patches on.
Yeah, it's good. I remember being Little Red Riding Hood and Ewing the Big Bad Wolf. And there was
Bermudiana.
something down to Bermudiana, and I was terrified.
Of you?
I don't know if it was Ewing or a clown or what, but I was terrified of the whole woman. And there was a lot of people there, and I felt so little and tiny, and probably Ewing let go of me. Maybe I was afraid of him, big people. I don't know.
Lee Watson and her brother went as Adam and Eve.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just a big
I
group.
don't remember anybody else. Just a big crowd.
Big.
Yeah, and the exhibition and all that.
And Winifred Drake had some battery and she left her eyes. They went on and off. And
Why, she had some modern.
Sambo or something she went. Some face was black. With the eyes. She might have been frightened of us. was considered a great event.
Yes.
Gumbays used to frighten me. So.
Yes.
Oh.
Terrified of the gumbays. Got it right.
They come right down Richmond Road with that, don't they?
Yes.
You go see them, you get frightened.
Now go away from the noise. Now I want to see him, I can't find him. And something else I was thinking of. Oh, the singers that came around Christmas Eve, I was terrified of those. They were the Salvation, not the Salvation Army, they wouldn't have been all drunk.
You think they were drunk?
They were. All off key.
Yeah.
Was Jack would watch them fly, and the horns would go off tune.
That never worried me because I didn't know what the tune was. But
Yeah,
Mother
well.
would drop 2 and 6-pence over the balcony from her bedroom.
They'd come right up on the porch at Strawberry.
On the porch.
You could hear them coming way around Richmond Road. They get louder and louder, and more off key and more off key. And then they'd be right on the porch, and I'd probably go in like this.
Great old days.
Yeah.
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 Speak up.
Pico.
Talk. Talk. Talk.
You see, you take in a lot of things that I didn't take in.
Because I wasn't talking. I was just looking.
No, but I mean, I don't remember what it is.
You
I
do.
remember that. Yeah.
I remember perhaps get us all seated down at that dance in the living room. And they're reading the letter, everything's quiet except our man's voice and my voice. Well,
All you had to, the whole room knew what it meant. Burst into laugh.
Uncle Willie pointed, he couldn't hold it back.
Oh my
He
dear.
never showed it.
To the Willie Mayor.
Isn't that terrible?
What's that? Your time's up.
My watch going. Goes every day at that time.
Does it? Does it? What's on today? Or every day?
I have a meeting at 2:30 someday. Reset.
What a world you children live in.
Isn't it some world? Yeah.
Yeah. Got everything. Everything you need.
Everything.
Nothing to look forward to.
But I remember thinking that, Frana, when we were first married.
Well,
I felt that we had what Mother and Mrs. Young had then.
Yes.
Now, I feel that the children have what we have now and more.
yes, what do they have what they need? Nothing to cut it off.
Yeah.
Been everywhere.
Sounds just like Uncle Roy now.
Getting down to brass tacks on it.
Ice cream was a big treat for him, you know.
Oh, yes,
Oh,
it was for us
cream.
too, home turned creams. Mm.
Always homemade, wasn't
Yes. Yes.
Snowballs, you don't remember the
Oh, no, I
snowballs.
do.
Do you?
When,
Mrs. Kate?
no, Uncle Roy and Aunt Nan took care of Churchill House across from St. James Church
Oh,
in
yeah.
Somerset. There was a snowball place just down from it.
Yeah.
And I'd go up and spend a time with them. Quite a time. The line was being very naughty.
What's he? Did he tell
I
that?
was such a monkey.
But
Yes,
that-
but we'd be allowed to go down and get some snowballs. I was trying to find out. Lovely snowballs. And out at Enfield, that was lovely times
Yeah.
too. When Uncle Willie and Aunt Eleanor would take Enfield for the summer.
What was
I
the
thought I was
story
going to
about
New York.
Eleanor, was that that?
Yeah.
Where is Eleanor? That was the 24th of May picture.
Yeah, 34th of May.
Where was Eleanor?
Oh,
She came on the train. She came on the train. She was
I
afraid of the boat because she couldn't swim.
That's right.
And she takes the children on the train with her.
I've never known the answer to that. That's the right this minute.
I think that's right.
I think it's exactly right. Where is Eleanor?
That was who, Uncle Willie?
Yeah, Uncle Willie.
Uncle Willie was in the rowboat saying that. What it was he in? Because we were in that big Alamo.
Yeah, another.
And thought Conway was rocking it.
How about how we used to go down on the tender to see the boats off. I don't think I ever went. But
No, it was 1932 when Aunt Nan and Uncle Roy and Jan-Law and Aunt Mary, Stuart and Suzanne were going dingman on the Rena del Pacifica. And Mr. Harney said that no visitors were allowed to go on the tender out of the boat.
and the boat was way out in off the Davis, wasn't it?
5,000 homes. And Mother and I stayed on. I can't imagine Mother having the nerve, or myself, to stay on. Anyhow, we got out there and this tremendous electric storm came up and waves rushed. They said, well, we can't go back tonight. And here we are on the boat. We had dinner on the boat.
On the
On the
beach, on the
ship.
Rena, on the ship,
And
with the tender banging up against the side.
we set the table apart.
That's the punchline. That's it.
Cannot return. Good, I thought Pop would just kill us. Anyhow,
And he received it.
You
That
got the
way.
cake?
he received it. And
Where was I?
when you were Pop and Hallie was Hallie was there, and Doris, you know, Conway,
This
all
was
in
getting
all.
late at night. Oh, Conway and Dorothy.
Oh, yes, and Hallie
Just
was,
you and Mother were gone.
yes, and Hallie was down in that little washroom. That was her bedroom, Hallie.
Oh, yeah, of course. So.
You know Hallie?
Mm-hmm.
Yes?
Hallie O'Meara?
Yes.
Yeah. The shop, I thought it was Mr. Ewing.
But anyhow, at 2 o'clock in the morning, they decided that the weather had abated and we would come back.
Had you gone to sleep by then?
Mr. Harden was speaking to us. He smiled.
Had you even gone?
Oh, yes. I mean, we broke every rule in the book. Anyhow, we're coming along in the now moonlight. It's hard to pick that child